Golden Circle in Iceland is a must to visit and full of stunning sights. It's made up of Gullfoss Waterfall, which will be in this video, Thingvellir National Park, and geyser geothermal areas, which will both be in subsequent videos. Gullfoss means golden waterfall, and Gullfoss is a natural wonder and one of the most powerful waterfalls in Europe. The waterfall is at the canyon of the Hiveda River, and it's a multi-stage waterfall that looks like a staircase. The water comes from the second highest glacier in Iceland. Now, it seems to me, at least being on this trip, that a lot of these sites have some type of controversial history behind them. And in the case of Gullfoss, it was almost turned into a hydroelectric plant by some foreign investors. However, when the farmer's daughter who owned the property found out about the plan to turn the waterfall into a hydroelectric plant and ruin this beautiful, stunning site, she fought really hard against it, even threatening to throw herself into the waterfall. She was definitely the strongest advocate to protect this natural beauty. The waterfall was eventually saved and the power plant idea, well, gone, allowing people decades later to enjoy the beauty. And I'm definitely happy that I got to see this waterfall. It is quite stunning. Today, Gullfoss is under the protection of the state and is also one of the most visited waterfalls in Iceland. Most of the sites had gift shops, but the one at Gullfoss was a pretty good size and had a lot of these beautiful Icelandic sweaters made of wool. Now, these sweaters are really tempting because they are so pretty. However, they're also a pretty penny. I guess if you're allergic to wool, and I kind of am allergic, they're not as tempting. So I resisted buying a sweater until my last few days in Iceland by insisting the sweaters had to have the colors blue, green, and yellow in them, which I know is highly unlikely. The place in downtown Reykjavik where I finally did buy a sweater explained that yellow is more of a summer color, so you probably wouldn't see it in a sweater. But I did finally buy a sweater, and it did have yellow in it. It also happened to be sleeveless, which I found was able to save some money on the cost. It costs less not having sleeves. Another note you want to keep in mind is some of the sweaters are machine knitted versus hand knitted. So again, depending on what you want, just keep it in mind and know what you're buying. Iceland is also full of legends and stories about trolls and other characters. And after listening to my tour guide for a few days, I did buy one of these Icelandic folk legends books, since I started to find these stories pretty amusing. We saw some additional Icelandic horses, but these were not taken care of like the ones we saw at the tomato farm. Just my opinion. Now, it's not like I know anything about horses. However, to me, they didn't look as clean, and there was a box set up in front of the horses for people to buy carrots and feed them. Most of the people on my tour were sorry for these two horses, and there were more horses in the back, and we wondered, do they only get fed when they're put out in the front? So I know our comments are probably extremely unfair since we don't know what's going on, but those were our impressions. The tour that I took was go-ahead tours of Iceland, the one called Reykjavik and the Northern Lights. We stayed at the Foss Hotel, which was pretty central, just 10 minutes from the downtown, and honestly, that's 10 minutes walking as slow as molasses. Once you know your way around and you get oriented with the streets, you're in the shopping area very, very fast. I found the hotel comfortable, and I think the staff tried to be really helpful. The rooms were nice and a big size, and for me a bonus was the heated floors and towel rack in the washroom. The hotel had a main dining area, which was also a pretty good restaurant called the Haas restaurant, where we had an included lunch on the tour, and the buffet was excellent, in my opinion. It also had a small bar on the main floor and another bar on the bottom level called Beer Garden. Now, in Beer Garden, they had a nice sampler which allowed you to try 3 to 5 beers. So this allowed me to try the local beer, which I really enjoy trying out since I didn't have those in the past. A group of us went out for dinner, and we ended up at the old Iceland restaurant. We didn't know anything about it, but it ended up being a great pick. I really enjoyed this vegetarian main. I didn't want anything too heavy because my starter was a lamb soup, which was also excellent, well seasoned. One word about restaurants in Iceland: they will cost you. So if you're going to a sit-down restaurant, it can be $50 to $100 easily. There are some places with street food or cheap eats, which will help you save on your budget, along with smaller convenience stores to pick up a sandwich, and maybe even in the hotels. I picked up a sandwich at my hotel. They had a little place in the hotel lobby, and it was pretty good. So this wraps up Gullfoss, one of the sites in the Golden Circle. I hope you got some helpful tips. I know I look at a ton of YouTube videos before I go on a trip, so just trying to give back to the YouTube community.